Thirsty. South Fresno, California has an aura the color of dust. While there are some buildings here, warehouses, modest homes, the landscape is really defined by its many vacant spaces, all dull earth and spiny weeds. 2021 South Peach Avenue appears to be more of the same. But past the boarded up buildings, past the fence posts that were once connected with chain link, there lies an oasis. Heart-shaped leaves of taro grow as wide as lunch trays. Grassy stalks of sugarcane, taller than an adult. Long beans, bitter melons, spotted cucumbers. Each vine turns its trellis into a wall of leaves. And there is rice, dense stands of green that would be 6 feet tall, but for the plump grains that pull each stem down into the graceful arc of a swan's neck. With a breeze, the blades swish and the ripe hulls chatter. The gardeners here are Hmong, an ethnic group from the mountains of Southeast Asia. They are traditionally subsistence farmers, and their main crop, 80% of their diet, is rice. The grain is so essential to them, at times they have used it as a currency. They have only one holiday, New Year, and its date changes every year to fall just after the rice is harvested. Hmong New Year is a celebration of rebirth, and rice is its simple, perfect tool. Living relatives gather at the home of an elder. Ancestors are summoned. The family pounds and cooks and eats moveable, new rice, the first of the crop just out of the field. It feeds the soul, one farmer told me. You wouldn't appreciate it, but to Hmong, it's like gold. The first person to grow rice at Peach Avenue was Bao Thao, mother of 12. To garden, she wears an oversized Oxford shirt over her simple clothes, brown plastic sandals on her feet. She ties her black hair into a loose bun, and strands of gray fly away from the sides. In her former life, she was a farmer in central Laos, in the village of Ca Sa. But then came the war in Vietnam, and the Americans who enlisted the Hmong to fight a secret war in their mountains and jungles. After the war ended and the Americans left, the communist victors hunted the Hmong for retribution. Bao hid in the jungle, watched her relatives imprisoned and murdered. Then one day, she fled. With her parents, her husband, her 5 children, a toddler on her back, and a 2-month-old baby in her shirt, she walked through the jungle for 14 days and finally crossed the border into Thailand. The family lived at the Chin Kam refugee camp for 2 years until an aunt who had already escaped was able to sponsor their migration to Fresno. Bao does not speak English, so her daughter Shua interprets, following her mother around the rice plot while holding an umbrella over herself to block the sun. Shua can't remember anything about Laos. Her memory begins in the refugee camp at age 8. But she tells me, for her mother, that the day they left Ca Sa, they had rice and corn in the field, pigs and poultry outside, a home, a dog, a life. They brought nothing. Whatever she wears, Shua says, that's her clothes to America. We left everything, Bao says in Hmong, every part of our life. That included rice. Bao arrived in Thailand with not even a seed in her pocket. After reaching the United States, they could buy rice to eat, but for nearly 30 years, the family suffered through the New Year's celebration without moveable chia, new rice. Was something missing? I asked. Yes, Bao said. Without moveable chia, we were in key, thirsty. Then, 6 years ago, someone in the community figured out that they could grow rice in their adopted village of South Fresno. Seed was sent from Laos and passed from Hmong to Hmong. When Bao got some from her sister-in-law 2 years ago, she signed up for a spot at the Peach Ave garden and sowed every inch of it with the rice. That November, for the first time since the day she ran from Kasha, Bao threshed and hulled and cooked moveable chia for her family's New Year's meal. What was that first New Year's like? I asked her, having new rice again after 30 years without. She was very blessed and happy, Shua said, paraphrasing her translation. You know, to be able to have the old time back, to be able to enjoy her first plate of moveable chia, grown by her own hands. Later, when I sent the interview recording to a more formal translator, I learned that Bao had said more than that. The particular words she had chosen had an ancient connotation about the spirit re-entering the body. There is no exact translation of the words or their meaning. The closest the translator could give me was this. What was that first New Year's like? I asked her, having new rice again after 30 years without. It felt like life had been renewed. So here is the problem. In 2013, the 2-acre Hmong garden at Peach Avenue used 20,575,000 gallons of water. On maps monitoring water shortage in the United States, nearly the entire state of California is covered by a splotch the color of dried blood, signifying exceptional drought, the most dire category. In the past 12 months, Fresno has received just 4.99 inches of precipitation. In Laos, where nearly every gardener at Peach Avenue learned to grow food, the average is 60 inches, 5 feet of precipitation, all of it rain. Within that moisture evolved the crops that matter to Hmong, the plants they grow here to ground themselves in a place that still feels alien after 30 years. Taro, sugarcane, lemongrass, rice. In Laos, Shua tells me, you just plant it and forget about it. The rain brings all the water the crops need. Here, though, she says, you have to water every day to make sure there's enough water to grow. Even as the rest of South Fresno hardens under relentless sun, the gardeners at Peach Avenue keep their soil dark with moisture. In doing so, they are drawing down the aquifer that Fresno depends on for its very existence. And yet, consider this. Fresno, the county, has some of the richest farmland in the world. It produces food worth more than what's grown by many small countries. But Fresno, the city, ranks 5th in the United States in food insecurity. That is, cities with the greatest percentage of people who don't have enough to eat. What better use of this precious water than to feed people, especially in a community where so many go hungry? Bao tends the plot every day from April to September, weeding and watering her rice plants as they grow from green shoots to grasses so tall that they tickle her chin. At harvest, she cuts each stalk individually and threshes them by hand. I ask how much she'll produce, and she tells me that this plot will yield only enough rice to provide her family a single meal. It is a big family, more than 20 people, all of whom eat a lot of rice. And it is the most important meal that they eat, New Year's. But it is still only one meal. The rest of the year, they buy sacks of rice imported from Thailand and Vietnam. Knowing that, it's hard to sanction this particular garden plot's lavish water use as an act of food security. But as I watch Bao harvest her rice and prepare to celebrate New Year's in South Fresno, I think maybe it is an act of some other kind of security, one for which we have no index. For decades, without their meal of moveable chia, Bao and her family did not have the food they needed. But it wasn't that they were hungry. They were in key, thirsty. Now, they are not.